3, 2, 1. Welcome to Grinning Goats Lightforge Arena Tier List Rastakhan's Card Valuation Podcast / Stream Extravaganza for Sunday night that will make us do an all-nighter and miss work tomorrow or be really tired for our work tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Welcome, guys. Once again, if you guys are not aware, we do this all the time. This is for Rastakhan. Strap yourselves in for...
When you say we do this all the time, you mean we do this once every expansion before the expansion, except that one time at MSG when we missed it and everyone went crazy.
Did we miss one?
We missed one because we were like super busy. I think it was MSG. We definitely missed one, and then we never missed one again because the reaction was so bad.
Oh.
I was like, do people really like these? It's not like our most popular stream or anything, but like I guess people go back and like watch it, and the people who are like into this are like really into it, which makes sense, right? Because how often are we like talking for like 6-8 hours at a time about cards that people can't even play with yet?
Fair. Anyways, we are not missing this one. So strap yourselves in for a very, very long ride, and all right, that's it.
I'm not gonna lie, this is the most exciting time of the expansion cycle for me. It is like literally right after we get all the cards and I've analyzed them all and we've algorithmed them all and we like, are about to do this stream. This is like the most exciting time for expansion. And then the expansion launches and we have to like play the game. And it's like, what are we even doing? Why? Why is this not just a math game, a valuation game?
Yeah, why even play stuff on the board? Why not have like just simulation? Right?
Just mental simulation, just interacting with each other's minds and determining a winner.
Right. This is like an anime when instead of actual fighting, it's like they just stare at each other and simulate the battle and they already know who won.
Oh, that would be the perfect game. Next level gaming.
Okay. Efficiency.
That's right.
This is gonna... Yes.
The keyword for tonight, as the keyword has been for the last few of them, is efficiency, because we're trying to get this done in 6 hours. Wish us luck. It's going to be broken down into 14 segments, starting with this one called Overview. And it will go 3 neutrals after this, then 1 for each class, then a final thoughts. And it's going to be quick, crisp, 20 minutes per. This one may be 40 minutes, but other ones will be 20 minutes per. Okay. So, you may be wondering if you're new or you're watching this on YouTube or one of your friends, they're not friends if they send you this, they want you to suffer, has sent you a link to us or a podcast, and you're wondering who we are. I am Adwikta.
This is Merps.
And we are part of the Grinning Goat, which is our combined stream. We are both arena experts. We've known each other since middle school. We, we don't live in the same cities, but like otherwise we're like best friends, and we kind of use this to keep connected. And we were doing this before we were like really good arena players, and then we became really good arena players, and then we're like, hey, how about we try to see if we can get a stream going one time a week, just for the heck of it. And it kind of spiraled into this big thing. And Merps was a former #1 leaderboard player. I was a former top 10 leaderboard player. We don't play enough these days to ever get 30 runs in a month. Like, that's really hard for us because of all of our other commitments. Probably just like you, we have like day jobs, we have other commitments. I've recently become the lead balance designer and a game designer on another card game, Gods Unchained, which you'll be hearing more about in a month or two when we get out of closed beta into open beta and whatever. But we've been gaining these experiences. This particular tier list that we talk about has been around for more than 3 years, almost 4 years now. And it is now fully algorithmed with backends and all that. 99% plus of cards you'll see in the arena are fully algorithmed. The remaining 1% is like mostly algorithmed, and like we have some inputs. Like sometimes we'll see a mechanic and be like, oh, we can't do that. Let's just add like 5 card advantage, half a tempo, and 18 survivability. Or like this mechanic says this, but we think its equivalent is like this and whatever. But that's just 1%. They're mostly algorithmed. And the algorithm goes super deep, simulates turns, knows what board states, knows what you're drawing, what you're playing, when you're playing, how to use hero power, when you're using coin, how the mulligans look, what the card pool is that's being offered. Whenever some card gets added, everything instantly adjusts. It's kind of beautiful if you know what's going on, and a little horrific. But it means we get pretty accurate values. We have good intuition about this, and so we had accurate values, and then I think we've only gotten more accurate as the algorithm got more interesting. And so now, yeah, that's my little intro for what we do. What else do we do? I probably missed something.
We're pretty boring people. That's pretty much it. We're infinite players that do these things, and we tinker with these things because we find them interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and if you're watching this on podcast or YouTube, we have one, we have the other. We stream on Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday nights, East Coast time. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's get this show on the road. We are doing Rastakhan, and we are moving to this lovely screen, which has the tier list. It is at thelightforge.com. If you are watching this on YouTube or listening on the podcast, and it is Monday morning East Coast time, this will be live. There will be a Reddit post and all that. Until then, this is internal, and so you can see the numbers here. But these numbers are basically final. Like, they're not going to move much. Maybe a couple of points, because we have a few more very minor things going on. But otherwise, they're final. This is the most final we've been at this point. Usually the numbers move around a bit even after our little reveal stream. But we're getting everything out a day early to the public, and we are already pretty much done. So these are final numbers. This is a first time for us getting things done this quickly, and so we're pretty happy about that. Okay, so Rastakhan. Thoughts, Merps? Big overview thoughts. Rastakhan is coming.
All right, so look, everyone gets super excited about new expansions. And it's like, oh, let's think of all the possibilities. Now that we have seen everything, I'm just like, oh, this is fairly tempered. For a last expansion, right? And if you've listened to our podcast before, we always say Blizzard likes to kind of shake things up during the last expansions, and it's the expansion in which they can be the riskiest because it has the least amount of exposure to the standard meta, right? If you introduce a lot of risky or powerful cards at the first expansion of a year, it lasts for a whole cycle. It lasts for a whole 2 years. But they can take a lot of risks. And what we can see from here is it wasn't as risky as they could have gone, right? So that's my big kind of observation here.
Yeah. I think when they revealed this card, which is one of the first cards they revealed, Ticket Scalper, 4 mana, 5/3, overkill, draw 2 cards, pirate, we were a little concerned. We had a whole podcast episode.
A little.
You could go back 2 weeks and listen to it. We were like, Blizzard, what are you doing? This card is terrible. And this is not the only card like this. The other ones are the other one really is less terrible. And a class card, but the other cards in the set are actually pretty good, like both design wise and power wise at how they fit into the arena, or they're like so bad that you're just never going to see them anyway, so they don't affect the arena at all. So yeah, I think overall I like this set. I like the Boomsday set a lot too. Witchwood I was more whatever-y on, but this is going to be I think it'll the big issue that's coming in here right now, right, is that Blizzard created a very good meta overall for the arena, even despite Giggly Inventor. Despite Giggly Inventor's existence and how before Boomsday launch, we were like, hey, Blizzard, please put this card in the first bucket at least if you're not going to nerf it, because our algorithm says it's off the scales, and the card is simple enough that our algorithm really isn't going to be wrong about it. And they're like, no, we're good. It's a third bucket card. And they were wrong. And so it took them 2 months, but they finally nerfed the card, and now it's properly, balanced, it's properly bucketed, all that good stuff. But we were having a little bit of concerns with that. And there's just, despite the Giggly Inventor, as I was saying, I kind of got off track. Despite the Giggly Inventor, the last meta in Boomsday was actually the best arena meta because they tuned down the spells and the class cards. They made sure we weren't seeing 4 copies of the same cards. And Arena kind of just took care of itself after that. And when they actually got rid of Giggly Inventor by nerfing it, Merps, we were talking about this before, your win rate for 12 wins, literally your 12 win rate was almost 50% in the post Giggly Inventor nerf meta.
Yeah, I mean, look, the sample size wasn't huge, but out of I don't know exactly how many runs, 15 runs, yeah, my 12 win rate was 50%. So yeah, it's and because it takes away like an incredible swing card, right? One of those things that is just kind of BS in a way. Like you can't play around it, you can't really do anything about it, and it's such a huge swing. So take that sample size however you want, but I was very happy that that 5 mana giggling was not a part of it anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, without it, this is what happens when you create a good meta, right? The skill base wins out. Like if you've been an arena player for like 3 years and you've been a good arena player for like 3 years, you know what's more of a skill based meta, what's less of a skill based meta. And we have been in the most skill intensive meta since Boomsday began, not because of Boomsday, but because of the arena changes that happened right before that. And then they nerfed giggling and it got even better. And they just made an announcement, wrote a blog post. It seems, hopefully, that they were having some personnel changes over the last few months, and it's kind of settled now, and that they're actually going to be pushing this arena balance button a little more frequently than like once every 2 months. So hopefully it means that Rastakhan's going to release, and they're going to do some micro adjusts, and Warrior won't be insane anymore. Hopefully, right? We can dream. And with all that going on, all this good stuff, you don't want a ridiculous set coming in and wrecking everything by being ridiculous. And the good part with Rastakhan is that it is not that set. It is flashy enough to have some cards that we'll be like talking about and playing around for the next year and a half to come. But for the most part, it's good, and like it's gonna keep Arena kind of the way it is. And any changes in the meta that you'll see from the Arena is actually going to be from any adjustments they do to the arena, any micro adjusts, any offering rate changes, any bucketing issues that they have. It is not going to be because of Rastakhan cards. And that brings us to our first theme of Rastakhan. Missing in action. Rastakhan is not going to exist. We said this with Witchwood because it didn't really exist and there was no offering bonus. We said it again in Boomsday, a little more loudly, but still not like yelling it, that it probably wouldn't do much because again, no offering bonus and the bucket system. And now for Rastakhan, this is now big enough that it is going to be a big theme of Rastakhan. You will not see Rastakhan cards, not because they're bad, but because they will not be offered to you. The offering pool is at its largest it's ever been. A ton of Rastakhan cards, I want to say like almost half, are just like rated below 100 on our tier list, which means it's below average, which means it gets dumped in the 7th bucket, or at least it should. And Blizzard reduces the offering rate of the 7th bucket by like more than 50%. You get put in the 7th bucket, you just don't get seen. And then there's also a whole bunch that would normally go in the 6th bucket. And again, you get put in the 6th bucket, you also get reduced in terms of the offering odds. So a lot of these cards are just really not going to be seen.
Agreed.
Just well, what are you gonna do, right? Like we asked Blizzard to make an offering odd addition to Boomsday. A lot of people did. They didn't, and they recently stated that they were not going to do it for Rastakhan either. And that's their decision, and it just means there's not going to be a big impact for Rastakhan in the arena. For better or for worse, right? Like looking at the card that we're showing right now on the screen, the Ticket Scalper, it may be for the better. But definitely, I know a lot of people are very disappointed in it. Just don't expect to see a lot of these cards. If you remember Boomsday, though, you still saw plenty of Boomsday cards, right? You'll see less of them in Rastakhan, but still, like, it's not like it won't exist.
And I'll tell you guys, so as of right now, it has been established officially that there is no offering bonus. There could be a change, there could be a change between now and sort of for the rest of the expansion. But once again, I just feel like I need to clarify. As of right now, the official word from Blizzard is no offering bonus.
No offering bonus. All right. We'll see if they change their mind. Next theme that you will notice in Rastakhan is that there are a lot of removals. Like, compared to Witchwood and compared to Boomsday, with neither of them added any, more than 1 or 2 significant removals into the meta, more than 50% of class cards in Rastakhan have initiative. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and for those of you who played the arena and might have left like about a year ago and now are just coming back, and you're going to experience this, you might be like, oh, well, this is exactly sort of how much removals there should be, quote, should be, or that I'm used to. Or saying like, well, like this is still even less than what I'm used to. But for all of those, all of you guys who have been playing recently and have gotten used to the Boomsday meta, you're not used to having that much removals. And you guys, all the veteran players know that in sort of for recent arena games, you need to really cherish the out of hand removals, like initiatives, right? So if you can use your stuff on the board, you use your stuff on the board because that removal from your hand is super duper valuable.
Yeah, and I am slowly going through all the classes right now after watching this on YouTube and just highlighting the top-notch removals that some of these classes are getting. Every single class has at least one top removal, and they have at least one, they probably have two, like, premium cards. And of them, one, if not both of them, are their removals. So this is all going to make a big difference in the meta when it comes to, like, the frequency at which you see these cards. You're not going to see any particular one of these cards very frequently because, again, these cards are going to be mostly missing in action. But as a whole, they add up, right? So this is the thing where, I'm looking at Mark of the Loa right now, which is a druid buff that gives a minion +2/+4 for 4 mana and taunt, or it summons 2 3/2 raptors. Like, am I going to see this card a lot? No, but I'm going to see this card on every druid that I play against. I'm going to see a different card on every hunter that I play against. I'm going to see a different card on every mage that I play against. And it's going to add up to, on average, having like 1.5 extra removals per matchup compared to other sets. So even if the net impact of this is like muted compared to other sets, you're still going to see the amount of removals being offered tick up by, let's say, 3 times that rate, impact level of 1/8, 3/8, 40, so somewhere approximately like 0.75 more removals per deck is what you should expect to see.
Okay.
And that's pretty significant. Now, again, no particular removal, but when you add them all up, you get a decent number. That's just back of the napkin math. I could be wrong by some margin, but it is going to be like, maybe it's 0.5, maybe it's 1. But it is going to be impactful in that way. All right. Next, we're going to talk about something that I have been hammering, like, I've been really wishing for. This has been on my wish list for like the last, I think, 6 expansions. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, the last 4 expansions. And this is this 5th expansion, and we're finally getting it. Curve Smoothers, I'm calling them, because they are 1 mana, 2 mana cards that are okay. They are like Raptor level, Croc level, maybe a little below Raptor or Croc level, and you can play them. And you can put them in your deck if you're an aggro deck or if you just want to get on the board, and they will exist and be fine. And they will not be overpowered, and they will not win you the game. And I don't know what they'll do in Constructed, but in the arena, having these options means if you ever want to make a deck that is on the board, you can, which has not been a thing. Like, even after they moved into, like, before buckets, it was definitely not a thing. Like, you were dreaming if you thought I could make that deck with, like, even a 50% chance. Unless you had a hero power that helped you with that, right? Like, if you're a paladin or a rogue, you could pull it off. Other classes, forget about it. Now, you can sort of do it with most classes, but you're still going to miss it a few times. And if you're trying to build a deck that works on the board and you miss it, your deck doesn't work and you suck, right? Like Merps knows, he builds a lot of aggro decks. It sometimes gets, like, you sometimes just get knocked out, right? From like the very early going because you're missing parts of your curve or whatever. Now with the Curve Smoothers, I am looking at cards like Saronite Taskmaster, 1 mana 2/3, Death Rattle, summon a 0/3 free agent with taunt for your opponent. I'm looking at things like Spell Zerker, which is a croc with +2 spell damage when enraged. Like, these aren't great cards or anything, but you can play them. They work for aggro, and they're going to make a big difference in arena deck building. Again, the cards are missing in action on an individual level, but when you aggregate a lot of them together, they will make a big impact on what you can do, right? Booty Bay Bookie, 2 mana 3/3, Battlecry, give your opponent a coin. Belligerent Gnome, 2 mana 1/4, that later on becomes a 1/4 with taunt. Oh, sorry, 2 mana 1/4 with taunt, that later on becomes a 2/4 if your opponent has 2 creatures or more. Fire Tree Witch Doctor, 2 mana 2/2. If you have a dragon, you can discover a spell. Water Boy lets you do a hero power, otherwise a 2 mana 2/1. Sharkfin Fan, 2 mana 2/2. Like, these are not great cards in the arena. You know, we don't rate them very highly, but they exist. And existing has value.
That's the attitude I take towards life as well. All right, yeah, no, it is something in which for many expansions on end, we saw them like Blizzard was basically allergic to 2-drops, right?
Yeah.
Allergic to 2-drops, allergic to 1-drops, and now we see them. And this is sort of the culmination of a lot of expansions in which they. I think the attitude at first was like, "Ugh, early game is scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Early game is scary because of like Face Hunter and just we don't want aggro kind of ruining the game." But now, because the card pool has so much responses, and also like they recognize that small cards can be non-threatening but provide extra value in the late game, and this is what like has been the entire theme for their creation of small cards, you know. So no more overstated 1-drops. What they'll do is say, you know, you get the stats that you want, and then there's like some extra value in there for and kind of a reward for your plan to be playing to turn 15, you know, instead of playing to turn 6 or something.
Yeah. And you can see it in the design. Like, they bring back Zombie Chow. Instead of giving your opponent health, it gives them a taunt, which is not just for anti-face decks, but it also helps you take back the board, right? Like, they're getting smart about this. So that is Curve Smoothers. Again, the curve is not going to get better. It is going to get more consistent in the arena if you're going for it. And that's really the best possible thing in the arena. Finally, you're going to have in this set a few powerful bigs. Powerful bigs because literally the top 5 highest rated cards are all 5 mana or above for neutrals. That's never happened before in any set. And 5 and above they're usually not cards that I would consider like important for your curve, right? Like 5 may or may not, arguably part of your curve. 6 is pretty much not part of your curve. 7 is definitely not part of your curve. So they are just like large cards that do stuff. Dragon Maws, Mogosh announcers, former champ like Amani Warbear. We'll go over each of them in the next couple of episodes. But it's something that will impact your experience in the arena. More high-powered large cards. And unfortunately, a lot of them are 5 mana. Because really, what the card pool needs is more good stuff on 6 mana rather than 5 mana. But still, it's a welcomed addition.
Right. And once again, like you can sort of see the design direction that Blizzard is going in terms of. So a lot of the powerful bigs that you talked about are the ones that are kind of very applicable for the arena. But if you look at the ones that are applicable for constructed, right? Like the design direction that they're going is they want powerful bigs, not to be stuff that like, oh, on turn 9, I slam this down and it gets immediate good value, right? What they want is powerful bigs that either one reward you for doing lots of stuff before then, right? It's like setup, and something that is overwhelmingly powerful, but because you did all of this stuff, or a combination of that plus you need to keep this on the board for multiple turns in order to extract value out of that. So once again, we see the sort of design direction that Blizzard is going, and whether it's small or whether it's big, they want these two things: setup or continuous interaction / preservation. So like we're going to see a lot of cards, whether it's small or big, go with this design trend here.
Yep. And those are the themes for Rastakhan. If you compare them, they're very different themes than for Boomsday. I had to remove the Boomsday themes to add these in, and Boomsday had stuff like taunts are back, and other things. But yeah, there was a Witchwood had an interesting thing where 5+ health became a big breakpoint. There's really none of those kinds of things happening in Rastakhan. The taunt levels are pretty normal. We are moving away from the multi taunts finally, because Witchwood had multi taunts and Boomsday had multi taunts, and I was getting a little annoyed at the multi taunts. And we're back to like singular big giant taunts, which they have their good uses and they have their downfalls, but it is a different design direction when it comes to taunts. And in addition to that, there's no real breakpoints anymore. There's a lot of 3/5s getting added to the arena, but I don't think they'll be seen all together so much more often that it should affect the way that you're like drafting anything. Because there's quite a number of them, but they're not very good. And so you won't like see them too often, even in the aggregate. But it definitely does shift the meta a little more towards 5/4s. But it's very small. It's not like a big thing you'll notice, I think. And yeah, any final words before we wrap up our introduction overview of Rastakhan? What should people think about when they're listening to the rest of this series and this podcast and this YouTube video?
The one thing I would advise people, and it's one of my advice every single expansion, with all the sort of supposed shiny toys that people want to play with, some people think that like the expansion is going to be, it's going to be like absolutely game changing, right? And you are going to enter a new world of Arena, but throughout like kind of the past expansions, you'll see it really is just old Arena / old meta plus a sprinkling of whatever the new stuff is, right? So whatever you have learned so far, you don't need to be like, oh, I need to replace this knowledge with other stuff. And you can look at these themes and you can look at this, but it's not anything new. This is a supplement, and it's sort of like, okay, this is sort of how things will slightly change, right? So do not get ahead of yourselves. Do not go and be like, all right, it's a new world, it's a new frontier out there.
It's the same world.
God, same world. Same world, new coat of paint, Yeah. That's it. But no, I think that was good introduction.
Yeah. And I think people may think that it's a new world because it really has been a new world each of the last 2 expansions, right? Because in the last expansion, we had the spell bonus reduction, which changed the meta completely, right before Boomsday, like a few days before Boomsday. And so Boomsday felt very different, having very little to do with Boomsday besides the tokens. And same with Witchwood, right? Witchwood was the introduction of the bucket system. So like Arena completely changed before that. And so everyone's like, oh my god, what a huge impact. That was also part of a rotation in which actually a lot of cards did change, that you were actually in a new world. This expansion, none of that is happening. Like, I'm stressing this. This is the first time in a whole entire year that nothing major has happened to the arena right before an expansion. And that in and of itself is like should really like raise your flags when it comes to like, oh, what am I expecting in the arena? The one thing that I will say may change the meta in the arena is that warriors were not nerfed in the last round of micro adjust for whatever weird reason, and assuming the new Blizzard Arena team sees that as the problem rather than a feature, because they're looking at stats rather than previous historical underrepresentation. Hopefully warriors get nerfed, and because warrior is the main control class in the arena right now, you may have a meta shift based on that, because warriors are gatekeeping a lot of more aggressive strategies from being successful, and more mid-range strategies especially.
Right, I would say more so mid-range. This is what we talked about last time, right? Yeah. In which we were saying warriors and just warriors, not like a kind of play. Warriors by themselves have made mid-range, and I don't want to specifically define this. It's like kind of caused them to become non-viable, right? So it's like if you want to go fast, you got to go really fast. You never want to be stuck in this middle region in which you always lose to warriors. So that's the meta where we're at. And it's like it's at a point where people are complaining that it's like annoying and unhealthy, right?
Yep. All right. Well, that's it for us and the themes. This is Rastakhan overview for the Lightforge Arena tier list and the Grinning Goat and the Lightforge podcast and all of this stuff. We're not going to do this at the end of every video, but we wanted to do it at the end of the first video. We want to kind of highlight all the things that all of our products, as well as thank all the people that we need to thank. And so take it away, Merps.
All right, first, we want to thank all the mods here because this is going to be a very long night. And thank you to everyone watching this live. But special shout out to all of our Patreons on patreon.com, Grinning Goat. And we want to thank our top Patreons, 4P, Afro Ninja TV, Brand New, Ingo, Kirby 5 Life, Talon, Trash Bear Bites, Zeruvi, Eric L, RV Night Train, and Shep. Those are some of our top Patreons, and also thank you to all of our other Patreons as well. This start of a long night, so strap yourselves in.
Long night.
See you guys at the next video.
All right. I mean, we should also thank, for example, our video editor, our YouTube video. Oh, that was going to be the next one. No. But do everything in the first video, and then start not thanking everybody every video.
Okay,
yeah,
well, you thank them then.
Like, okay, David AttenboroughSays, who is our YouTube editor right now, and he's taken over from Epically Toss, who did a great job for the 2018. And David AttenboroughSays will be staying up with us and uploading these videos onto YouTube. So we're watching this on YouTube. He's the one who is uploading it and doing everything. He's the one making most of the comments on the comment section. So show him some love as well.
Cool.
I see a lot of people in Twitch chat also who are very annoyed at you for not giving a shout out to Twitch chat.
Wait, did none of you guys hear what the very first thing I said? First of all, thank you to everyone watching this live.
But also the people who are communicating with each other and us on Twitch chat. You guys are extra special.
That includes Twitch chat. You guys are being all right. See you at the next video.